every Thursday on DD India.
We're live from New Delhi, watching DD India News, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Coming up in the next hour. Israel delays cabinet vote till Friday to approve Gaza ceasefire and hostage release deal. US says Gaza ceasefire implementation to start on time. French Prime Minister François Bayrou survives first no confidence vote in Parliament. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate Bharat Mobility Global Expo in New Delhi aims to unite the entire mobility value chain under one umbrella. India's President Draupadi Murmu to confer National Sports Awards in New Delhi. D. Kukesh, Harmanpreet Singh, Praveen Kumar and Manu Bhake to get Khel Ratna. And on to the details now. The office of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said on Friday that a deal to release the hostages had been reached and that he had ordered the Political Security Cabinet to convene later in the day. Israel's acceptance of the deal will not be official until it is approved by the Security Cabinet and government. A vote had been expected on Thursday, but Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu delayed the meeting, accusing Hamas of making last-minute demands. Hardliners in Netanyahu's government were still hoping to stop the deal, though a majority of ministers were expected to back it and ensure its approval. Its National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir said on Thursday he would resign from the government if it ratifies the Gaza deal.
Therefore, if the reckless deal is approved and implemented, the Jewish Power Party will give the resignation letter to the Prime Minister. The Jewish Power Party will not be part of the government and will withdraw from it. If the war on Hamas is renewed, that's what I said to the Prime Minister. With force in order to decide and release the unachieved goals of the war, we will return to the government.
Netanyahu's office said that the families of the hostages had been informed and that preparations were being made to receive them upon their return. Meanwhile, the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken expressed confidence on Thursday that the Gaza ceasefire agreed upon by Israel and Hamas will take effect on Sunday as scheduled. This despite a last-minute issue that needs to be resolved by negotiators. Blinken, in his last news conference as the U.S. top diplomats, said he had been speaking to U.S. negotiator Brett McGurk and Qatari officials on Thursday morning to resolve the issue.
Yes, I am confident, and I fully expect that implementation will begin, as we said, on Sunday. Look, it's not exactly surprising that in a process and a negotiation that has been this challenging and this fraught, you may get a loose end. We're tying up that loose end as we speak. I've been on the phone in one way or another all morning with Brett McGurk, with our Qatari friends, and I'm very confident that this is moving forward, and we'll see the start of implementation of the agreement on Sunday.
Palestinian Prime Minister Mohammed Mustafa met with top representatives of the European Union in Brussels hours after a ceasefire and hostage release deal was announced. Hamas senior official Izzat al-Rashaq said the group remained committed to the ceasefire deal, scheduled to take effect from Sunday to halt 15 months of bloodshed. The ceasefire accord emerged on Wednesday after mediation by Qatar, Egypt and the US to stop the conflict that began with deadly Hamas attacks on Israel. The deal outlines a 6-week initial ceasefire with the gradual withdrawal of Israeli forces. Dozens of hostages taken by Hamas would be freed in exchange for hundreds of Palestinian prisoners detained in Israel. It also paves the way for a surge in humanitarian aid for Gaza, where the majority of the population has been displaced. The World Health Organization called on the international community to step up and fund a scaled-up aid response in Gaza after Israel and Hamas reached a ceasefire deal.
This is the time for member states, donors, and the global community to step up, to provide this flexible funding and to enable these swift and effective responses and for the urgent and longer term needs. And the UN cannot deliver the response alone on all fronts. The private sector is critical and private supply chains should be restored and basic commodities allowed to flood Gaza.
And for more, we have Shubhendu Ghosh joining us from Delhi. Well, Shubhendu, Netanyahu postponed the cabinet vote on Gaza truce deal as the talks between the two sides had reportedly hit this last-minute snag. Though the US claims that the ceasefire will take effect on Sunday as scheduled. Can you tell us what is holding back the vote?
That's right, Libakshi. A lot is happening in Israel and the region as the anticipation around the ceasefire truce deal between Israel and Hamas grows momentum. But the latest that is coming in from various media sources, in particular, that the office of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has in fact agreed to the ceasefire deal. It is going to be ratified by the Israeli cabinet. In fact, the Prime Minister's office has called for a cabinet meeting to take place today, and so that by Sunday, which is the date for the ceasefire to be implemented, for the release of hostages and prisoners from both sides could be implemented. So that appears to be a big breakthrough after what we heard yesterday. There were some loose ends that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu pointed out, because of which he had asked for the delay of the cabinet meeting. But the latest that is coming in from Israel is that the Prime Minister's office has in fact approved the tenets of the deal, and the cabinet meeting could in fact take place as early as today, which will pave the way for this much awaited ceasefire. It's been over 15 months of brutal fighting in the Gaza region. The ceasefire, as we understand, the first phase of it would be spread over around 6 weeks, which would involve release of around 33 hostages, Israeli hostages from the captivities of Hamas. Also, at the same time, hundreds of Palestinian prisoners would also be released by Israel. So that's the latest that is coming in from Israel at the moment. Lipakshi.
Also, Shubhendu, tell us about the complexity and the logistics of the deal once implemented, as it is a very fragile one, and even Hamas getting the hostages safely to a handover point will present a lot of significant security challenges.
You're right, Lipakshi. It continues to be a very, very fragile situation, both in terms of strategic implications and also security. We know that the talks for ceasefire have been going on for months, just months after the fighting had started on October 7th, 2023. And in that sense, the ceasefire prospectus in itself is very fragile. It will be taking place across 3 phases. The first phase, as I mentioned, the exchange of certain number of hostages and prisoners, also a partial withdrawal of Israel from Gaza. The second phase, as we understand, after about 6 weeks, is going to involve release of all hostages from Hamas's captives, and also release of more prisoners. It would also involve complete withdrawal of Israeli troops from Gaza. The third phase, if it takes place, would involve more investment into humanitarian aid and reconstruction of Gaza. So it does sound ambitious, and given that it hasn't worked out in the past months and various reasons have led to the collapse of ceasefire talks, particularly in this case, Prime Minister Netanyahu of Israel has to walk a fine line between a choice between peace and power, because many of his right-wing colleagues, allies in the government, have in fact threatened to boycott this deal, which also jeopardizes his own position, power as a prime minister, and the power and position of his government. So in that sense, the entire context appears fragile, and the concerns around the ceasefire will remain till, in fact, it is achieved.
Well, Shubhendu, also the World Health Organization has called on for the international community to support in the international aid after the ceasefire deal. What do you see at that end?
Well, the biggest crisis that has really come out of this fighting is the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Unaccounted number of people have been killed, the livelihoods destroyed, innumerable people, hundreds and thousands of people have been displaced. The reconstruction of it would require a mammoth effort and perhaps resources that have to be poured in from all sides, particularly the international community, United Nations and other such organizations will have to take lead. It is going to be a mammoth task, but the beginning of it would be the end of fighting. But in fact, as we hear, even while the ceasefire deal was being announced by the US president and also his Qatari counterpart, the bombing, the Israeli attack on different parts of Gaza continued. So ceasefire, the idea of ceasefire continues to be very fragile. Humanitarian aid, although much required, still appears like a distant dream as of now.
All right, Shubhendu, thank you so much for all those details. And moving on, French Prime Minister François Bayrou passed the first test of his new minority government on Thursday as he survived a vote of no confidence called by the hard left after the centre-left Socialist Party did not back the motion. This is the first no confidence vote Bayrou has faced after he formed the government on 23rd of December 2024 in a National Assembly with 577 lawmakers. 131 lawmakers voted in favour of the motion, well short of the 288 votes that were needed. The far-right National Rally Party of Marine Le Pen had already signalled it would not support the motion. Bayrou is the sixth Prime Minister to serve under President Emmanuel Macron. He was appointed last month after the resignation of Michel Barnier, who served just 3 months in office, making him the shortest-serving Prime Minister in French history. Macron nominated Bayrou as France's new Prime Minister on December 13th after Michel Barnier was ousted in a no-confidence vote. And Mark Carney, the former head of the Bank of Canada, has formally entered the race to replace Prime Minister Justin Trudeau as leader of the ruling Liberal Party. Carney launched his campaign for the party leadership at a rally in Edmonton, casting himself as an outsider who was not part of Trudeau's unpopular government. Trudeau announced his resignation this month amid unhappiness among legislators alarmed by the party's poor polling numbers ahead of an election this year. Trudeau, who took office in November 2015, will stay on until his replacement is named on March 9th. Carney's main rival looks to be former Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland, whose resignation last month over policy differences led to Trudeau's decision to quit. And still to come in DD India News Hour. UK and Ukraine ink landmark 100-year accord. South Korea's Yoon refuses questioning again as detention deadline looms. An unexpected setback for SpaceX as it lost its Starship rocket during its 7th test flight.
Timeless, boundless, and infinite. The essence of faith, the soul of Sanatan culture. From the sacred confluence of Prayag, where divinity descends to earth. Witness the grandeur, the devotion, the magic. World's largest cultural and spiritual gathering, with over 450 million devotees expected to attend. Mahakumbh, India's greatest festival of faith. Exclusively on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lepakshi Khurana, and moving on, as President Joe Biden's tenure winds down to its last days, the White House reflects a mix of achievements and challenges that have shaped the nation. From managing the COVID-19 crisis to tackling global conflicts, Biden's presidency has been a journey of highs and lows, with the outgoing head of state's farewell speech reflecting his apprehensions for the future of his nation. DD India's Rahul Upadhyay reports for more.
Outgoing US President Joe Biden addressed the nation for a final speech from the Oval Office on Wednesday before his term officially ends on January 20th. President Biden reflected on the 4 years of his term and emphasized his commitment towards being president for all Americans.
I have no doubt that America is in a position to continue to succeed. That's why my farewell address tonight, I want to warn the country of some things that give me great concern. This is a dangerous and that's a dangerous concentration of power in the hands of a very few ultra-wealthy people. And the dangerous consequences if their abuse of power is left unchecked. Today, an oligarchy is taking shape in America of extreme wealth, power, and influence that literally threatens our entire democracy, our basic rights and freedoms, and a fair shot for everyone to get ahead.
Biden's tenure in the White House has been marked by notable achievements and challenges, from steering the nation through a global pandemic to navigating geopolitical tensions. Biden's presidency has had its share of highs and lows. In November 2020, Joe Biden defeated Donald Trump in a controversial race, leading to the January 6th Capitol riot. As president, he tackled the COVID pandemic, overseeing the vaccination of 250 million Americans. In August 2021, he faced criticism over the chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan, where Taliban quickly took control of Kabul. Biden passed a $1 trillion infrastructure bill to rebuild the nation's infrastructure and enacted landmark climate policies, rejoining the Paris Accord and securing $370 billion for clean energy. In 2022, Biden responded to Russia's attack on Ukraine by providing military aid and supporting NATO's expansion. In 2023, Biden supported Israel after the Hamas attack, but became frustrated with the Gaza war, eventually brokering a ceasefire. Concerns over Biden's age grew after a poor debate performance in 2024, leading to his withdrawal from the presidential race, where Kamala Harris replaced him but ultimately lost to Donald Trump. The president is leaving the office with a low approval rating, though higher than his predecessor and successor did. Rahul Upadhyay's report for DD India.
Well, former President Jair Bolsonaro's defense filed a request on Thursday with Brazil's highest court to urgently reconsider the decision to bar him from traveling to the United States. Bolsonaro's defense claimed that he has fully complied with and respected the precautionary measures imposed on him by the Supreme Court and also rejected any possibility of him fleeing. Earlier on Thursday, Supreme Court refused to return the passport former president so that he could attend the inauguration of U.S. President-elect Donald Trump. Bolsonaro, who has been barred from running for office until 2030 and faces criminal charges for allegedly plotting a coup after his 2022 election defeat, had his passport retained in February 2024 on the order of Brazil's top court. Well, moving on, as the Friday deadline to obtain a warrant to extend a South Korean impeached President Yoon Suk-yeol detention or release looms, investigators have called in arrested President Yoon Suk-yeol for questioning again. While his lawyer said he won't attend questioning in order to hold Yoon in custody for longer, investigators are expected on Friday to ask a court to approve a detention warrant for up to 20 days. On Wednesday, Yoon became the first sitting South Korean president to be arrested over a probe into whether he committed insurrection when he briefly imposed martial law in early December. He is being held at the Seoul Detention Center. South Korea is grappling with its worst political crisis in decades, sparked by Yoon's brief attempt to impose martial law on December 3rd that was voted down by the parliament. And British Prime Minister Keir Starmer signed a landmark 100-year partnership agreement with Ukraine during an unannounced visit to the country, seeking to shore up support for Kyiv. In Starmer's first official visit to Kyiv since taking office last July, he pledged steadfast support in the face of the Russian invasion and said any deal to end the fighting must guarantee Ukraine's security and independence.
We must look at how this war could end, the practical ways to get a just and lasting peace. We agree that it must be a peace that guarantees your security, your independence, and your right to choose your own future. We will work with you and with all of our allies on steps that would be robust enough to guarantee Ukraine's security, guarantee any possible peace, and deter any future aggression. That conversation will continue in the months ahead.
And he later said that the UK would also discuss with allies deploying peacekeeping troops to Ukraine to help guarantee security following any ceasefire with Russia. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky hailed the 100-year accord, saying he hoped for similar agreements with other allies.
We have signed an agreement about 100 years partnership. We are confident in the independence of our state, and this is something Ukrainians will never give away. We are confident in our European partners, and this is something that strengthens Ukraine, Britain, and the whole Euro-Atlantic space.
Well, the visit is the latest meeting that Zelensky is holding in a flurry of talks with allies before Trump's return next week. And Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian, who's on an official visit to Tajikistan, met with Prime Minister Qohir Rasulzoda. The two met on Thursday in Dushanbe on the second day of Pezeshkian's trip to the Central Asian country. The Iranian president said that the relationship between Iranian and Tajik nations are intertwined and deep-rooted. Rasulzoda in turn said that the Iranian president's visit and the signing of cooperation documents are of great importance to Tajikistan. He was referring to the 23 documents that Iranian and Tajik officials signed earlier on Thursday. Well, Cuban opposition leader Jose Daniel Ferrer was among a group of prisoners released on Thursday in a landmark deal with departing U.S. President Joe Biden. Ferrer is the most high-profile of the prisoners that Cuba began freeing on Wednesday after Biden agreed to remove the country from Washington's list of terrorism sponsors. In return for being removed from the U.S. terror list, Cuba promised to release 553 people. Over 30 people have been freed as part of the deal so far. Cuba said it will continue to gradually release prisoners from its jails in the coming days and weeks. Well, Sudan's army-aligned foreign ministry rejected as immoral U.S. sanctions declared on Thursday against Army Chief Abdel Fattah al-Burhan. In a statement, it said the sanctions express only confusion and a weak sense of justice after 21 months of war between the army and the paramilitary rapid support forces. On Thursday, the U.S. Treasury Department announced sanctions against Burhan, accusing the army of attacking schools, markets and hospitals and using food deprivation as a weapon of war. It came a week after the U.S. slapped sanctions on RSF commander Mohammad Hamdan Daglo, accusing his group of committing genocide. Outgoing Secretary of State Antony Blinken voiced regret at his failure to end the brutal war. Blinken, who leaves office on Monday, said the army had repeatedly failed to join peace initiatives, although he hoped President-elect Donald Trump would keep trying on Sudan.
Real regret that when it comes to Sudan, we haven't been able on our watch to get to that day of success. As I said, some improvements in getting humanitarian assistance in through our diplomacy, but not an end to the conflict, not an end to the abuses, not an end to the suffering of people. We'll keep working it for the next 3 days, and I hope the next administration will take that on as well.
Well, SpaceX lost its Starship rocket during its 7th test flight, an unexpected setback after the American company had made steady progress during its test flight campaign for the vehicle. Despite the loss of the Starship upper portion, the company again showcased its ability to catch the rocket's lower portion in midair using giant mechanical arms. It was supposed to attempt to reach near orbital speeds and deployed 10 dummy spacecraft designed to mimic the size, shape and weight of the upgraded SpaceX Starlink satellites that Starship will be launching in the future. It was to be the first time Starship attempted to deploy cargo in space, an important milestone in readying the rocket for operational use. But about 15 minutes into the mission, SpaceX lost communications with Starship. Launch commentators then said the vehicle had been lost. About 6 minutes into the flight, SpaceX used giant mechanical arms to catch the rocket's super heavy lower portion. The same stunning engineering maneuver it completed during the rocket's 5th test flight in October. And moving on, forest fires fueled by a heat wave scorched a picturesque corner of Argentina's Patagonia region on Thursday, forcing the evacuation of hundreds of homes. Strong winds and high temperatures fed a blaze that tore through grassland and forest near the remote village of Puyen, reducing areas of pristine wilderness to a smoldering ruin. According to the authorities, an area roughly the size of 1,600 football fields caught fire in only 5 hours on Wednesday. Argentina's National Weather Service has declared 17 of the country's 23 provinces to be suffering extreme temperatures. Our latest update now on Los Angeles fire. Firefighters were making steady progress on the deadly fires that have destroyed thousands of homes and other buildings across the region. But residents must prepare for a return of the strong winds that could rekindle and spread the flames, as authorities warn. Los Angeles Fire Department has cautioned the residents to clear all the bushes within 200 feet of their homes, as harsh Santa Ana winds expected to return next week. The Palisades and Eaton fires, along with several smaller blazes, have burned nearly 40,000 acres in Los Angeles County so far. The number of deaths attributed to the fires in Los Angeles rose to 27. Nearly 150,000 people have so far signed an online petition demanding the immediate resignation of Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass over her gross mismanagement and a lack of leadership during the devastating wildfires in the region. Well, frigid air is expected to move in across the United States over the weekend and into next week, bringing below freezing temperatures to most of the country. The bitter weather, tied to an Arctic polar vortex blast, is expected to bring nighttime lows as cold as minus 23 degrees Fahrenheit over the weekend for some of the northernmost parts of the United States. Chilly temperatures in January are not unusual, but these conditions are likely to be abnormally cold. The cold will settle across the country slowly, starting in the upper Midwest on Saturday before moving south into Sunday. By Monday, just about every state will be experiencing temperatures colder than average for this time of the year. Well, intense overnight rainfall brought widespread flooding and major disruptions in the southern Brazilian state of Santa Catarina. Rescue teams rescued families from floods. Authorities alerted locals to be on alert for landslides. Florianopolis Mayor Topazio Neto announced on social media that roads were closed and urged residents to stay home to allow repair crews and emergency vehicles access to the northern part of the island and other areas. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Singapore President is on India visit, says ties on new trajectory. Candidates filed the nomination papers for Delhi Assembly election amid rallies and roadshows. And Mahakumbh fervour continues, devotees taking a holy dip in Sangam in Prayagraj.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. Lipakshi Khurana. And moving on, the Bharat Mobility Global Expo will be held in Delhi from January 17th to 22nd, 2025. The event will feature major automakers unveiling and launching a range of concept and production-ready vehicles. Prime Minister Modi will be inaugurating the second edition of the event. DD India correspondent Tapas Bhattacharya has more with this.
Welcome to Bharat Mobility Global Expo 2025, India's premier global mobility show, bringing the world's leading automotive and mobility players under one roof.
Now in its second edition, Bharat Mobility Global Expo will be inaugurated by Prime Minister Modi on Friday. The event is a game changer for the mobility industry, uniting the entire value chain to co-create the future of mobility. The theme for 2025, Beyond Boundaries, Co-Creating Future Automotive Value Chain, emphasizes collaboration, innovation and sustainability to drive cutting-edge advancements. Spanning over 200,000 square meters across three iconic venues, Bharat Mandapam in New Delhi, Yashobhoomi in Dwarka, and India Expo Center and Mart in Greater Noida, the six-day extravaganza promises unparalleled opportunities to connect, innovate and inspire. With over 9 concurrent shows and 500,000 visitors expected, the Expo showcases the full spectrum of mobility solutions, from electric and hybrid vehicles to connected and autonomous technologies, sustainable urban transport systems, battery technologies, and beyond. International participation is at an all-time high, with 5,100 global players joining forces to shape the future of mobility. Adding to the excitement are 15-plus conferences, bringing industry leaders together to share insights and spark new ideas.
The good part about the show is like we get the entire audience of the industry, right from the top decision makers, from CEOs to purchase heads to right to the bottom level of probably aftermarket mechanics. So we get the entire spectrum of the automotive industry at the show.
Supported by the Ministry of Commerce and Industry and hosted by leading industry associations, Bharat Mobility Global Expo 2025 highlights India's growing prominence on the global mobility stage.
Bharat Mobility Global Expo 2025 is shaping the future of mobility in the country. The event is an opportunity to connect, innovate and inspire. Bharat Mobility Global Expo 2025 is where the future of mobility begins. With camera person Gaurav Giri, this is Tapas Bhattacharya for DD India from Delhi.
And we now have Akshay Dongre joining us for more on this. Well, Akshay, the event, of course, is a game changer for the mobility industry. Prime Minister will be inaugurating the second edition of the event. Tell us more about the event today.
Well, we are seeing that how Prime Minister Narendra Modi's policies have really pushed the automobile sector across the country. It's not just India where, the push is visible. In fact, if you look at the global automobile market, the Indian players have gotten, the support of the Indian government, along with the initiatives that have been taking place, and that has in fact pushed the Indian automobile industry across the world. So it's not just India where these automobile giants are making a big name for themselves, but across the world. So, the kind of the Mobility Expo that is taking place, and in fact, the Mobility Expo that will be inaugurated by Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in fact the largest ever automobile expo that is taking place in India. In fact, this is a historic exposition that is taking place, and it's not just taking place at one place, but as you rightly mentioned, there are three places, including Delhi, there is Noida, and then there is Dwarka, where Yashobhumi is, where in three places, different kind of automobile expos are taking place. In fact, today is the inauguration of the second part of this exposition, and the focus, as we have seen, is going to be on the commercial vehicles in the first phase, along with the passenger vehicles. So it's not just the usual vehicles that we see in the exposition as it gets inaugurated, but we can expect several cutting-edge technologies, several startups, several industry leaders coming up with their concepts, coming up with their established vehicles to offer to not just India but to the world. And in fact, as you have showed in the report that has been filed by Tapas, there are over 5,000 exhibitors that are going to take part, over 500,000 visitors from all around the world that are going to take place. And in fact, the global involvement and participation in this exposition is also at an all-time high. So all the global players now, as far as automobile sector is concerned, from Europe, from Africa, from Americas, from Asia, all of them will be here in New Delhi as Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurates this huge mega exposition for the automobile sector. And the exposition will also be opening for the common public from 19th of January to 22nd of January, where people can in fact go and visit these expositions and just get to know more about the kind of initiatives that are being taken by the automobile industry as well as the government of India to transform the automobile sector across the country, as well as to offer cutting edge technologies coming in from India to the rest of the world. Back to you, Pakshi.
All right, Akshay, thank you so much for all those details. And moving on, marking the 60th anniversary of diplomatic relations between the two nations, Singapore's President Tharman Shanmugaratnam is on a high-profile state visit to India from the 15th to 18th of January. The visit is not only a celebration of 6 decades of ties, but also an opportunity to strengthen collaboration in key sectors, including trade, technology, defense and skill development. India's President Draupadi Murmu on Thursday held wide-ranging talks with the visiting President of Singapore, Tharman Shanmugaratnam, at the Rashtrapati Bhavan, which is the official residence of the Indian President in New Delhi. Strengthening the comprehensive strategic partnership dominated the agenda of the meeting. Both the presidents also unveiled a joint logo to commemorate the 60th anniversary of establishment of diplomatic relations between India and Singapore. And Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto will be the chief guest at 76th Republic Day celebrations on January 26th. India's External Affairs Ministry in a statement said that Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto will pay a state visit to India at the invitation of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. This will be President Prabowo's first visit to India and as president after assuming office in October 2024. The forthcoming state visit of President Prabowo will provide an opportunity for the leaders to undertake a comprehensive review of bilateral ties, as well as to discuss regional and global issues of mutual interest. Well, a total of 40 aircraft, including 22 fighter jets, 11 transport aircraft and 7 helicopters, will participate in the flypast on the 76th Republic Day. Sukhoi, Jaguar, Rafale jets will be the star attractions over the Kartavya Path.
The contingent will consist of 4 officers and 144 other personnel, marching in a box formation of 12 rows and 12 columns. The marching contingent will be led by the Commander M. Singh. Air warriors participating in the RD parade have been selected through a stringent process from across the Air Force. The contingent undergoes an intensive practice session of 7 to 8 hours every day. starting at the VRs around 4 a.m. in the morning. 121 musicians of IAF will participate in the beating retreat ceremony. The conductor for the ceremony will be Warrant Officer Ashok Kumar.
Well, Agniveers will also be part of the marching contingent of 144 men. The marching contingent will also be accompanied by the Air Force Band comprising of 72 musicians led by Sergeant Charles Daniel.
Next formation is beam formation comprising of 1 C-17 and 2 Su-30. We have Amrit formation, which is pure fighter formation comprising of 5 Jaguar aircraft, Vajrang formation comprising of 6 Rafales, Trishul formation, 3 Su-30s flying in Vic formation. The flypast will culminate with single Rafale carrying out a vertical Charlie after crossing the dais.
Well, Indian Army successfully conducted capability demonstration launch of the BrahMos supersonic cruise missile at extended range, engaging a target in the Bay of Bengal with pinpoint accuracy. A tremendous leap forward in self-reliant India and precision strike capability. The BrahMos is capable of flying at nearly 3 times the speed of sound and launching from ships, land and aircraft. And now all the news from the Mahakumbh, the largest religious congregation in the world. Well, the Mahakumbh 2025, a significant religious event underway in the holy city of Prayagraj, with lakhs of devotees taking holy dip in Triveni Sangam, the confluence of sacred rivers Ganga, Yamuna and Saraswati during this sacred period enhances spiritual power and aids in attaining salvation. This mega event, attracting millions of devotees, tourists and pilgrims from across the world, offers a unique opportunity to showcase India's cultural, spiritual heritage and tourism potential. The Mahakumbh is one of the largest and most significant religious congregations in the world, held every 12 years at one of the 4 locations in India. The Mahakumbh 2025, which is Purna Kumbh, is taking place in Uttar Pradesh's Prayagraj till February 26, 2025. And for more, we have Siddharth Bharadwaj joining us from Prayagraj. Well, Siddharth, today is the 5th day of the Mahakumbh. How is it going?
Well, a very good morning to you, Lipakshi, and it's going wonderfully well, fantastic and magnanimous. Words will fall short as pilgrims and devotees, are coming in Prayagraj to take holy dip in the confluence of River Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati, known as Triveni Sangam. And people from all walks of life, including international devotees, are also coming in. In fact, yesterday only, Shankar Mahadevan, renowned Indian singer, came here to perform, and he set the stage ablaze. The crowd was definitely dancing on the devotional tunes. Also, I'm standing here in front of Nandi Dwar, and where devotional songs are going on. The temperature is still dipping. It's biting cold here, but this cannot certainly dip the enthusiasm of the devotees and pilgrims who are coming from all walks of life here. It was first Amrit Snan on 14th of January, and 13th of January this mega festival has started. But the influx of pilgrims and devotees is truly incredible. You can see behind me people in large numbers are coming here to take the holy dip, and the atmosphere is certainly amazing. In fact, the UP government has also started, Lipakshi, the Akhada walk tour, and it has some fee. After paying that fee, the pilgrims can take the tour of Akhadas which are there in the Kumbh Mela premises, and they can also actually get the significance and cultural significance of the Akhadas which are there. They can have a full-fledged tour which will go on for about 2 hours. So yes, everything is in full place, including the security arrangements. Like I've been saying earlier as well, that there is a 7-layer security that has been deployed to make sure that this largest congregation on earth remains peaceful, safe and secure. There have been certain arrangements, and certain special forces that have been deployed to make sure that the monitoring is done at every nook and corner of the Kumbh Mela premises, including the CCTV cameras, which are 1668 approximately in numbers. And there's a big monitoring room as well, through which the officials are 24 hours monitoring each and every area of the Kumbh Mela premises, to make sure that this spiritual journey of the devotees and pilgrims who are coming remains safe. Apart from that, the medical facilities are also being provided to the pilgrims and devotees who are coming here in large numbers. There is a temporary hospital that has been set up which has everything including 32 OPDs, and it has minor and major operation theatres and also 24-hour emergency service as well. So just in case if there is an emergency situation, any patient can go there. There is a proper ambulance that has been set up as well. There are many numbers. And talking about ambulance, Lipakshi, there are water ambulance as well inside Triveni Sangam. There are somewhere around 7 in number. So just in case there is some emergency situation in Triveni Sangam as well, so the emergency water ambulance can also go there. There is water personnel as well, and also AI integrated technology that has been incorporated, because the tagline of the Mahakumbh says this is Divya Bhava Digital, which means divine, grand and also digital. So AI integrated cameras are also incorporated. Underwater drones, something which has been which has come for the first time, can also give real-time images even in the underwater. Even if it goes 100 meters underwater, can provide real-time images. So proper surveillance system is also there. Helicopter surveillance is also there. Drone surveillance is also there. Tethered drones are also there to make sure that this largest peaceful religious gathering on earth remains safe, secure and harmonious for everyone who's coming here from all walks of life. Around 450 to 500 million people are expected to come in this grand event, Lipakshi.
All right, Siddharth, of course, extensive preparations out there for the facilitating the pilgrims there. Thank you so much for all those details. And as the grand festivities of Mahakumbh 2025 unfold in full splendor, renowned Indian singer Shankar Mahadevan graced the sacred city of Prayagraj with an unforgettable musical performance. His soulful and devotional melodies captivated the massive crowd, creating an electrifying atmosphere that had everyone on their feet, dancing in pure joy. Well, during his performance, Shankar Mahadevan expressed his heartfelt gratitude to the Government of India for offering him the opportunity to be part of such a historic and spiritually significant event.
144 years के बाद आ रहा है और उसमें मुझे गाने का मौका मिला. इसमें सिर्फ मैं शिव जी का धन्यवाद, गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया का धन्यवाद, गवर्नमेंट ऑफ यूपी का धन्यवाद और मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ कल्चर का धन्यवाद दूंगा. और सभी लोग जिन्होंने इतना परिश्रम किया है, ये मतलब प्रोग्राम जितना स्मूथली चल रहा है, लाखों करोड़ों लोग आ रहे हैं, 40 करोड़ लोग एक्सपेक्टेड है, लेकिन इतना स्मूथली यहाँ पर चल रहा है. आई रियली थैंक एंड माई हैट्स ऑफ टू द ऑर्गेनाइजिंग कमिटी.
And moving on, today is the last date for filing nominations for Delhi Legislative Assembly election. The date for scrutiny of nominations is 18th of January and the last date for withdrawal of candidature is 20th of January. With only 19 days left to polling, parties pulled out all stops for their campaigns. Candidates were adorned with garlands amidst sloganeering. Several strong contenders from the Bharatiya Janata Party, Aam Aadmi Party and the Congress held massive road shows with senior party leaders from their respective parties ahead of filing their nominations. A total of 555 candidates filed their papers on Thursday. The single-phase polling will take place on the 5th of February and the counting of votes is scheduled for 8th of February. And some weather updates now. Fresh snowfall and light rains in North India Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir prompted suspension of train services and closure of some vital roads and highways in Kashmir on Thursday. The Kashmir Valley received a fresh snowfall in many parts, including in the tourist resorts of Pahalgaon and Kokenag, Sonmarg and Gurez. The Bhadrava Valley in Doha also received a fresh spell of snowfall during the day, as did the adjacent region of Bhalesa, which was blanketed in pristine white. The weather in the Union Territory is expected to be cloudy for the next 3 days, followed by light precipitation in high areas of north and central Kashmir from January 20th and 21st. Meanwhile, the Transport Department has been specifically advised to take extreme precautions as the roads become slippery and icy after snowfall, increasing the chance of accidents. And we have Tahir Nadeem Khan joining us from Jammu and Kashmir in Bandarbaha. Well, Tahir, the temperatures there are around -9 degrees centigrade. How is the weather? Is the snowfall still continuing?
Well, Dipakshi, first of all, I would like to tell you that entire Jammu and Kashmir is reeling under significant rainfall deficit, raising its concern over horticulture, agriculture, irrigation, potable water supply, and even tourism sector. And yesterday's snowfall and rainfall has been welcomed by one and all. And as you said, the temperature has plummeted further into sub-zero territory, and last night it was recorded -14 degree in forest block of Bhadrava, and in the town it was -9 degree. And right now it's almost 9 a.m. and sun has come out, and still it is -6 degree, and yesterday it was -3 degree Celsius over here. So obviously this is perhaps the coldest night and coldest morning of the 40-day long cold wave period, which is locally called a chill eklan. But yesterday's snowfall, it was overcast condition. Yesterday it was slightly better, warmer than today. But this temperature has further dipped, and tourists and locals have been advised not to come out before afternoon because the roads have become frozen. All the roads leading to tourist resorts of Guldanda, Jai, Padri, even in Gulmarg and Pahalgam in Kashmir Valley, all the roads are in frozen conditions, and advisory has been issued by Traffic Department and Civil Administration as well that people should not come out before noon unless and until these roads are sprinkled with salt and urea, and only after that the situation will be assessed and the roads will be opened. Right now, the famous tourist resort of Bhadrava, which is Guldanda, where hundreds of tourists converge every day since snowfall on 28th of December. That has been, traffic has been restricted on that road beyond Nalthi village. But tourists are enjoying this thing. But yesterday it was all different game altogether, because yesterday it was a bit warmer during snowfall, but today it's completely frozen, and right now, as I said, it's -6 degree. Yes, Dipakshi.
All right, Tahir, you also take care as it's extremely cold there. Thank you so much for all those details. And in a shocking turn of events, Bollywood actor Saif Ali Khan received multiple injuries by an intruder who attacked him with a knife during an alleged burglary attempt at his residence in Mumbai late on Wednesday. Later, he had a surgery and now he's out of danger, and the doctors are monitoring his progress. The police is investigating the incident. Meanwhile, the police have registered an FIR and are working to identify and apprehend the suspect. And for more on this, we have Shishir Shallar joining us from Mumbai. Well, Shishir, what are the updates since yesterday? Any information on how the breach happened or any other breakthrough for the investigating agencies?
Well, absolutely, Pakshi. As far as the police are concerned, the police has not given official detail, but what we got to know from our sources is that nearly 10 teams have been put for the work by the police here. And these teams have been streamlined to do a specific job so that to expedite the investigation. So far, till yesterday, till now, we have seen here that the police has recorded the statements of the housemaids of Saif Ali Khan. Along with that, the police have also seen the CCTV cameras, because yesterday we have seen that the forensic team has reached to the Saif Ali Khan's house and they have collected all the evidences. Now the police is working on that. Later in the night, we've also got to know that the police have got some of the footages of the suspect and the police is on search for that unidentified person. So far, what we got to know from our sources is that the entire incident happened during the early morning on Thursday around 2 to 2:30. That's what the sources are telling. And nearly 3 people actually injured in this entire incident. The intruder actually entered into Saif Ali Khan's house, and the maid saw the intruder. Immediately, the second maid also saw the intruder, and between the scuffle, Saif Ali Khan intervened, and all the 2 the maid along with the Saif Ali Khan have actually sustained injuries. Saif Ali Khan has sustained a major injury near his spine. Later on, he was admitted immediately to the nearby Lilavati hospital, and now the doctors are saying that he's out of danger. But he'll be in hospital for a couple of days now. As far as the investigation is concerned, I'm telling you that the police is already in search, and 10 teams have been deployed by the police for the search operation here. Along with that, we also got to know from the sources that the intruder actually demanded ransom of 1 crore to one of his housemates because the housemaid has recorded the police statement, but the statement has not been confirmed by the police so far.
All right.
As far as the other important evidences are concerned, like the CCTV footage also and the forensic details, the police is actually working on it. And as rightly said, that the police also got the photographs and the video of the intruder escaping from the building. Now the police is working from that angle as well.
Okay, thank you so much for all those details, Shishir, from there. Well, you're watching DD India News Now. Time now for some sports news. India's President Draupadi Murmu to confer National Sports Awards 2024 on Friday at Rashtrapati Bhavan in New Delhi. President Murmu will confer Major Dhyan Chand Khel Ratna Awards to Indian sportspersons Gukesh D, Harmanpreet Singh, Praveen Kumar and Manu Bhaker. In the ceremony, 32 Arjun Awards will also be given to athletes for outstanding performances in sports and games. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available in both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.